recovery is like this, or like not even a perfect like this though, like it's like I am good. Explanation time. We've got tea, and we're gonna try to be happy. This isn't the video that I wanted to be filming right now with where I feel I'm at in my life and in my recovery, but I want to explain to you guys where I'm at better than I can in just an Instagram caption or blog post. Basically, I'm being admitted to hospital again. I've never had the opportunity to know about a hospital admission in advance. I want to document it here on my YouTube so I can look back on it and to keep you guys in the loop, because I really do want to keep sharing my journey. Truthfully, I've been crying like pretty much since I've been admitted. And then today I came across this girl who was like super duper grateful to be able to go to treatment and start to get her life back and to have that support. And like, I don't know, like that's just, it's really, really hard for me to feel like that because like I don't know, I feel like I can do this stuff on my own. And I feel, well, most of the time I don't feel like I have a problem, which is like a problem in itself. I don't know who's gonna see this. I don't know what you're gonna get from it, but I just want to stay as real, as clear as possible with you guys, even when I'm confused about what's going on. And I really appreciate anyone who's been supporting me or watching along the way. I haven't really talked on camera with you guys at all yet. Basically, I'm just like pretending that I'm at a therapy session right now because I've been going to therapy every week since I was like 12, so 5-6 years now. So logically I know that I can speak about this stuff, and I want to be doing that in the biggest way I know how, with the biggest platform I have access to. So I'm starting that now, even though I'm not where I want to be in my recovery. It shouldn't matter. What matters is being as open as possible, pushing myself to be able to share, pushing my comfort zone, helping me accept myself and all parts of myself, and not having a filter. A lot of what's kept me stuck in all of this is always feeling like I need to have a filter. Like I need to be able to express myself and what's going on and accept that. At least one doctor's appointment every week for the past 6 years. Like, dealing with anorexia, it's not always only a couple months. Like, it can last years. It can for some people, it can be just a quick recovery once you get the weight back on and really, really be able to keep that up, and that's amazing. But for me, it hasn't been like that. It's been an uphill, up and down, never just uphill. It is, recovery is like this, or like not even a perfect like this though, like it's like I know I'm gonna have to share my story like 100 times once I go into treatment, again and again, explaining the same thing. So first I kind of want to be opening up to you guys who I actually want to be opening up to. This isn't me like sharing my story necessarily. I'm gonna share my whole life. I've like always wanted to share my story, like my complete story, but there's just so many times where I've thought the story was over, like where I've thought I was fully recovered, and that's when I would have wanted to share the story, but then it goes down again. And if I were to explain my whole story now, it would be explaining like 10 different stories, if that makes sense. So it's really hard for me to just be able to know exactly what my story is when it's been going on for so long. There's not really any clear thing, but that's for another video that I'll get into that right now. I just want to talk about where I'm currently at, what's currently happening, and you can find like what I've been going through on my Instagram. I've been very open about it for the past year now. The past 5 years before that were pretty much like just in my notes. I have 15 journals full, like completely full of words and just thinking, and you're not usually allowed to have your phone when you're in hospital, so it's just a lot of time to do nothing but think. So yeah, I don't know how to like sum all of that up into one video, but I think this time, once I'm a little bit more recovered, I'll feel able to share in the clearest way that I can. So I do hope you guys will stick around and watch that later on. I know that a lot of people look up to me and have found inspiration from me and from my posts, and that is like who I want to be and who I see myself as, and I always want to be that person. But right now I need to be like doing more for myself before I can give out more, and I think I just pushed myself too hard with trying to help others this time, and it's hard because I always want to do so much and it's just not always possible. And that doesn't help me feel good about it, and then it just like everything slowly just goes downhill. I want to keep being open and sharing all the highs and lows, because as cheesy as it is, nothing helps more than knowing and seeing that you are not alone in any of the struggles that you go through. Whether temporary, however long they last, you're not alone. I really did try like extremely hard to be gaining weight, and that's been going on since I was last discharged a couple months ago. And even before that, for a couple years, like I'm always trying to put on weight, to put on muscle, which, you know, should be separate for the most part. But the problem is, I always think that I'm eating enough, and I think that I'm gaining weight, even if I'm losing or maintaining my weight. Like, it's really hard when your body image changes and your emotions and the stress in your day. Like, there's just so many things that impact how I feel about myself and how I feel about my body and how I feel about my intake and just everything in general. Timing, lack of hunger cues, stress, anxiety, depression, worry about the future, lack of clarity, lack of certainty. I fell into slightly restricting my intake a bit once I left hospital to be on the safe side of maintaining, which basically is losing in my mind, so it just happened without me realizing. I know how much I need to eat, so I've been increasing myself all the time since I've left, but my metabolism catches up and my mind thinks that I'm having too much or gaining weight too fast or something like that, so it just, thoughts would come up that it was too late, or that I'd eaten enough already, or that it was bad to eat at that time, or that I had an appointment in a couple of days, or that I've already eaten enough that day, or that I was gonna gain fat from that when I've already eaten enough to fuel just gaining muscle, which is definitely not a good mindset to have. There have been times at night where I'll go into the kitchen because I'm hungry and want a night snack. Okay, that's a whole other topic, is intermediate fasting at recovery, because I completely fell into that, thinking it was okay to not be having stuff after dinner and to give my body that break to be healing itself, but it ain't healing itself when you did not eat enough that day to be not eating after a certain time. Like, you need to give your body as much as it needs before you go to bed. So anyways, I would go to the kitchen and literally be standing there for like 10-15 minutes, like staring at a fucking banana to eat, and I just like couldn't push myself to eat it, or I'd take a bite and like regret that bite and like have to spit the bite out. Like, there's like these thoughts that really can interrupt you, and it's hard to explain, and I've definitely been pushing against that stuff so much more recently and been able to, but it never feels good instantly. When you do those things, it takes time, and I know all of this. That's what's so hard about doing this on my own, is like I have all the answers and I know all these things to tell people, to help them in their recovery, and I know how to help myself, but it just doesn't, like, it hasn't been working, and I need a little bit more support with that. This has just been going on too long, and it's time that I really move on from it and not just tell myself that I moved on from it, which is a hard thing. It's a hard thing to admit to struggling, because I truly tell myself all the time that I'm doing so well, and I am doing well in so many areas, and I've found myself more, and I have so many more passions than I used to. There's so many things that are going right. I hate to show that I'm struggling or to make it any more of a reality, but I need to be honest not only with you guys but with myself. My eating disorder specialist doctor that I've been talking to for a while basically explained to me yesterday that it's not that I'm doing terrible and on the verge of dying like I used to be in the past, where I was restricting myself to that point and not able to properly give my body the fuel it needs each day. But the fact is, it's not healthy for me to fear being at a weight where my body can properly heal itself. I may not end up in hospital with a tube feed, very medically unstable, but continuing the way I am, just barely maintaining a healthy weight, is more than destructive. I feel comfortable in my body right now for the most part. I feed myself without others nagging me. But loving your body that is unhealthy and being comfortable is just as awful as hating your body that is healthy and being uncomfortable. She knows that I wouldn't keep losing weight, but maintaining the weight where I feel comfortable right now just isn't okay for my heart, my hormones, the minerals in my body. It's that I'm clearly afraid of living in the healthy body that I need to be living in order to restore and repair my body after years of damage. Restriction only makes things worse. You can't think straight, and body image only gets worse, not better. Just avoid the thing that is causing the emotional distress like we can with other addictions. We are going to need to fuel our bodies whether we feel like it or not, possibly 3 to 6 times a day for the rest of our lives. Do we want that to be a stressful thing? Allowing these things to dictate how we feel about our lives and ourselves our whole lives is the recipe to living miserably. In the past, when I'd increase my intake, I didn't just feel guilt, I'd feel shame. I didn't feel like I just did something bad by adding more or different foods. I felt like I was bad. But let me tell you something, your worth should never be attached to what you eat, or you're going to feel restricted. We are meant to feel worthy and lovable all the time because we are. It should never be attached to something that changes as much as our bodies are meant to. I've never in my life went a full day without eating food, but long periods of eating just enough is just as dangerous as going days without. For your weight to go up doesn't mean you're losing control, and for it to go down doesn't mean you're doing something good. People need to understand that the effects of eating too little can be far worse than that of eating too much. For the past few years, for the most part, I've been maintaining my weight, usually after I've lost some. I'd eat an intake that I knew would result in me staying similar, to help me escape the fear of gaining weight and to help calm me down on the days that my body image was bad. But this false control is ridiculous. I'm hoping that being able to talk with more people that actually understand it is going to help, more than I feel like it will. Now that I'm being admitted, I can't escape it. I'm doing what I can to enjoy yoga and to enjoy sweet potatoes and the food that I actually enjoy before I have to go. But I feel like in treatment it's going to feel impossible. I'm scared to have to put a bunch of dressing on all of my salads, the dressing that's made from just pure oil and sugar, and like I've been eating whole foods for the past few years and loving it. The crazy part is that eating all these things that I feel are so bad is actually what's going to make me healthy. The whole vegan side of recovery, like, it completely frustrates me that there's no support for that in treatment. I definitely understand though, because people can make the decision at the wrong time and your health needs to come first. When I first struggled with my eating disorder, I would have went to veganism for a weight loss thing, but now I've proven to myself and to other doctors that I can gain weight on a vegan diet. I did it the last hospital admission, and I'm proud of that, to be able to show that I can do that and to have proven to myself that I did not go vegan to lose weight or anything like that. Like, it's literally the lifestyle. I believe in it. I watch so many vegan YouTubers that I look up to, and I'm passionate about cooking, and I really enjoy the foods that I eat, and I am so happy that I found something that I'm passionate about. I can look at food as nourishment, and there are all these like amazingly good things. However, if someone was being admitted to treatment and the only treatment places don't support a vegan diet, I would definitely still recommend that they go to get support. My battery's low. Because your health is more important, but to myself, it's very hard for me to tell myself that, because being guilty about eating cheese or drinking milk, that's a different area of food guilt. Like, that's ethical, that's not my eating disorder. But I guess being in hospital and it being forced, it's not really an ethical issue there. Either way, it's going to be very hard because of all that I believe about dairy and its health effects as well. When I was last there a few years ago, I would drink 4 to 6 cups of milk or things of yogurt a day, and like, I thought that was healthy. Yes, it was at that point in time, because it did, of course, help me weight restore and all that stuff. But at this point, drinking that much dairy would probably murder my insides, if you know what I mean. The other thing is, back then it would have been really easy for me to just accept help and to accept the dietitian's help and all that they knew about nutrition, because I didn't know that much. But now that I'm so used to cooking for myself and I know a general intake for my body, and I've experimented so much and just come so far in recovery, it's really hard for me to be able to trust someone else with that. I have some good memories being back there, as well as lots of trauma and grief. But I rediscovered who I was there, and I rediscovered my humor and interests. Now that I literally live and breathe the vegan lifestyle, it's going to be so hard to trust. Especially when like documentaries are all about how doctors don't even realize the effects of dairy and all of that, and how everything's corrupt. Like, that doesn't help very much in my situation of being hospitalized against my will so many times throughout my life. Like, how do I trust that? I don't see how eating ice cream every night means that you're recovered from your eating disorder, and I hate that idea of treatment. It's hard because if it were anyone else, I would say don't be vegan for a while for your health. Your recovery comes first. It's not your ethical choice when you're being forced into hospital. But this being the treatment that's going to help most mentally and physically, that's more important. But for me, I've been vegan for 2 years now, and I gained the weight on a vegan diet the last admission. It wasn't a specialized unit, which was pretty hard because I basically just did it all on my own. But it was really nice to prove to myself that I'm not vegan just to be losing weight, maintaining a weight, blah. I'm definitely going to be going vegan as soon as I can once I'm home, and to get back to eating more whole foods and cooking that way, because I do enjoy that, and I really hope I can reconnect with that part of myself and still be able to go out to eat once in a while and try different vegan junk foods and things like that. Like, I do want to be okay with that, but I really don't like the fact that I'm going to have to be doing it with non-vegan food for a while. I definitely have some very good memories of treatment. Back then, I was finally eating enough for my body, and I finally learned what it felt like to live. I live in a small town, and being there, I got to experience so many things. We'd have passes all the time and go different places. There was outings, we'd go to the aquarium, the zoo, just different places like that to know more about yourself and to find yourself in that way. But it's really hard now that I actually know my interests to be able to accept this type of support that I don't feel like I necessarily need right now. Now I actually know the type of activities that I enjoy, which is yoga, weightlifting, strength training, that kind of stuff. Like, I really, really enjoy that, so it's hard for me to try all these different things, but I know it's good to try different things. I was at such a different place though. Life felt easier because I had a clear picture of what I wanted to do for the next couple of years before I graduated. I thought I knew what I wanted to do after graduation. It was just easy to look ahead to the next couple of years. I thought I had it all planned out. I'm not going to be able to do yoga for a while or lift weights. And that's going to be very hard because I've been really, really studying my yoga practice, working so hard at all the moves that I can do for the past year, and I really, really do enjoy having that time each day. And to be restricted from that is not fun. And it's also going to be very hard to be gaining weight when I know none of it at all will be muscle, because that's going to screw with my head a bit. But I do need to understand and break free from that compulsive part of exercise. Not that it's compulsive for me, but it's more like the compulsive view of life, or like the OCD part, or like feeling like you need to do something. I think it's good for me to step back and like see that I'll be okay even without these things, and I don't need to be attached to anything. So I definitely see positives, and I also know that my body needs rest and to repair and to get my period more regular and all that stuff. But it is going to be challenging because I do enjoy moving my body and feeling strong. So yoga has helped me accept my emotions and see that I'm not alone in feeling certain ways sometimes, and that everybody goes through stuff, and it's taught me how to be more present, and you'll definitely see all that kind of stuff on my Instagram. But I've been sharing a lot this past year of my journey towards recovery. Before that, pretty much everything went in my notes on my phone. I had like 6,000 on my old phone. I still have like 4,000 on this phone to keep track of most things in the day. I find that helpful. And at one point I had 20 journals full of writing because I couldn't have my phone in treatment, which is literally going to be me this time again. I am going to probably write a bunch of my blog posts in a journal because I want to be writing, because it's nice to have time to actually work on these blog posts, but it's kind of hard when you don't have your computer or anything. Back then when I was very, very underweight and very confused about nutrition and life and like myself in general, I really, really lost my will to live. And what snapped me out of it is realizing just how important I am to my family. It was hard for me to see at first because I didn't value my own life, which caused me to not value others. As awful as that sounds. Eventually I was able to realize how it would feel if I were them, if we switched positions, if my sister was suicidal or was harming herself or was on the verge of death. I would feel shaken each day. I would be unsure with myself. I would always have the missing piece, and I would feel unsafe just thinking about it. I couldn't justify putting my family through that anymore, and I still can't, and I still feel bad about it. It feels wrong for me to be taking up a space at treatment today. I feel like there are so many people who need it more than I do, who need the support that this particular eating disorder unit offer, because I don't think they have the right stuff that I need right now, but that could just be my head because I don't have everything that I need right now to help myself personally. Hopefully it won't be too long. I felt like this the last time that I went as well, but it feels so real for me now that I know what's good for me. Mentally, I'm so close to real recovery. It's the physical stuff holding me and a tiny piece of my brain back. So far since the last admission, even being able to just film this video right now, or to have stayed out for a couple years, and to have been vegan, and to have been doing great in school, and I had a relationship for a while. And I got back into cheer briefly, and I've found a huge passion for yoga and wellness and health. But that's the ironic part here. I need to be taking care of my health better, and something gets in the way of that. It feels wrong to make this video when I feel like I'm in a good headspace, because any other time that I would have been admitted, I would have been way too afraid to do this. I would have not had any energy in my brain to talk to a camera, to not judge myself so much for that. And I don't want to be minimizing that type of struggle. But I can't demonize myself for trying to feel alright right now while I try to enjoy the last day that I get at home before everything changes. I'm definitely processing all this in a much healthier way than I would in the past. I used to fear that I'd be bigger than the girls at treatment, but screw that, I am done trying to be the sickest, if you know what I mean. I'm eating all the sweet potatoes while I still can, and hopefully my health starts to look up quickly so that I can be home and doing the things that I enjoy much faster. I don't want to keep my life on hold too long because I now actually enjoy my life, and I'm not going to let any of this get in the way of that, in the way of all the growth that I've made these past couple of years. It doesn't mean that I'm set so far backwards because of this. This is just a little bump. A bump that's necessary for me to be rising much more than I ever have in the past. I don't want to be living in treatment my whole life, but I also really don't want to gain weight, so this is not going to be fun, but I'm going to do it. It's really hard to go and almost relive my old life being my third time going, but I know it should be more of a rebirth. I can't escape. The only way out is through. I can only do what I can with my circumstance, and I don't know what's right or wrong right now. But what I do know is that to this day, even though I've had horrible days and dealt with grief and trauma, I don't regret anything and would not change a thing. So that's how I wish to come out of this next admission. My hope is that this helps someone feel less alone. I'll definitely be sharing my full journey once I'm home and feel ready to. I really look forward to be able to post to YouTube again and to post to Instagram and to have my phone in general, because that alone is going to be a huge challenge for me. I'll definitely be doing all I can with my experience to guide another through theirs. Thank you so much if you've watched this far, if you've been following my posts on Instagram. It truly means so much if you have listened. I'll see you in the bright, worthwhile future. I'm self-conscious of my voice. I always feel like I have some sort of lisp because I was in speech my whole life. Not my whole life, fuck this. Stress like you can with other addiction. We can't just avoid the thing that is causing the emotional distress like you can with other